So I wanted to make a quick video about 3 easy books to read to help you get into the fantasy world. So the 3 books I'm going to say are quick and easy reads that are basically less than 300 pages. It's only 2 or 3 books in the series, and they're very captivating, very engaging, and not very fantasy heavy. So there's not a ton of world building, not a ton of war aspects, and not too many characters that it's a little bit challenging to read, like other series, for example, Throne of Glass. So nothing like that. And I know a lot of people are wary of diving into the fantasy world because it's a lot, but it's my favorite genre, and it's so many people's favorite genres because it's just so good. It's unmatched. So I wanted to share just to help anyone out. So the first book I'm going to recommend is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. This is a duology. It's amazing. It's enemies to lovers. There's arranged marriage, forced proximity, obviously. There's betrayal, a ton of romance, plot twists. It's so good. I devoured the series. Since it's only 2 books, you are thrust straight into the world. I remember when I read the first chapter, I turned the last page of the chapter and was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so good. So it's one of those books where the second you dive into the world, you can't stop reading. And the second book is so good as well. I would definitely recommend this to anyone. It's not too much to keep up with. The story always moves along very quickly. There's action, but it's not too much that you're struggling to keep up with it. And it's just a great book. I would honestly totally recommend. And all of Danielle Jensen's, well, I haven't read all of her books, but she has another series called the Dark Shores series, and that's also amazing. So if you like The Bridge Kingdom, I would also recommend that as well. The second book I'm going to recommend is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. This is a duology. This is a trilogy. Also so good. I would say the first book is the least fantasy heavy, so it's the best one to help guide you into the fantasy world. There's not a lot of war aspects, not a ton of action, but the first book has a lot of great tension. It's not necessarily enemies to lovers, but they're not friends at all or acquaintances, so it's not quite enemies, but not at all friends to lovers. It's so good. I love this series. The action is great. The characters are amazing. There's a ton of great character development, a lot of great plot twists, a ton of excitement. It's just so good, and each book is amazing. I would say the ending for the third book was perfect. I remember my Goodreads comment for this was the ending was absolutely perfect. So sometimes the endings for books aren't perfect, and this one I could say was just what I wanted. And it's the perfect, easy but captivating read for anyone that's not super used to the fantasy world yet. And then lastly, the last book I'm going to recommend is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. So this is a duology. So good. There's not a ton of fantasy aspects, I would say. So usually in fantasy books, there's people that have powers or mythological creatures, or it could be gods and goddesses. Usually just otherworldly objects, people, or things. And this book didn't really have any sort of aspects like that, but the overall themes of the book and the writing style and the world building and the characters in general were fantasy. So I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you're nervous about the world building, because I know that's what stumps people a lot. This book doesn't have a lot for you to get confused with, but the characters are amazing. The romance, this is enemies to lovers. As you can see, this is my favorite theme. The romance is amazing, and the action is great. I love when there's a very strong female lead, which is true for every single book that I'm going to recommend. That's true for every single fantasy book. Sometimes they'll start off as an assassin or a spy or whatnot, and sometimes they'll be a little weak and meek in the beginning, and then they turn out to be a super strong female lead. I would say all of these books, in some way, they are a super strong female lead just right off the bat. So that's always encouraging as well. But I love all the characters in all three of these books, and I would definitely recommend any of these books to anyone. So if you're curious where to start for fantasy, check these books out and see if you like them. Thanks. Bye.